Need to binge watch a quick anime or skip some annoying filler? Here are 10 romance anime with no bad episodes. Let's go!
試しって
こうしてても時間の無駄でしょ。
いやマジかよ。
Ryu Yamada is your classic delinquent turned reluctant protagonist who just wanted a fresh start in high school. But life isn't so easy to turn around. Things take a sharp turn when a tumble down the stairs leads to an accidental kiss with honor student Urara Shirashi, and suddenly they can swap bodies. Soon they're dragged into the Supernatural Studies Club, hunting down 7 witches at their school, each with a unique kiss-activated power.
やだ私何やって。
So yeah, body swapping, screams, fan service bait, and going in, that concern is completely valid. But Yamada-kun actually sidesteps that trap pretty well. The characters grow on you because their dynamics shift naturally as the witch hunting mystery unfolds. Not because the show is just throwing cheap moments at you. Ryu goes from guy who gets into fights because he's bored to someone who genuinely cares about the people around him. And instead of fan service, you get some really wholesome Yamada x Shirashi moments that you're gonna love.
私種島ポプラ17歳高校生です。
ああ、高校生？
それでバイトをしてくれる人を探してて。
この生徒手帳と制服、うちの高校の先輩？
Wagnaria is your favorite family restaurant, not because of the food, but because the staff is absolutely unhinged. Sota has an obsession with tiny cute things, Inami punches men out of pure reflex, Tanishima gets mistaken for a kid constantly, and don't even get me started on a manager who does nothing but eat.
綺麗な人だな。
高梨壮太です。よろしくお願いします。
Working is one of those rare shows where every character has their own subplot running simultaneously and somehow none of it feels rushed. Inami goes from decking Takanashi on sight to barely making eye contact, which is genuinely progress. This also has 3 seasons and each season brings much more progress. Sato finally confesses, Yamada meets her mom, and there are tons of chaotic moments mixed in between too. The comedy never punches below the belt either, so you could genuinely watch this with anyone.
それに佐藤君のことだってずっと前から知ってるよ。私ね、佐藤君のことを助けに来たの。
Time for some psychology. Tatsushiro Sato is a 22-year-old college dropout who hasn't left his apartment in nearly 4 years. Convinced that a secret organization called the NHK is responsible for keeping him a shut-in NEET, he spirals deeper into paranoia and conspiracy theories. Everything changes when he meets the mysterious Misaki Nakahara, who might just be his ticket out of isolation. If he could survive confronting the one thing that terrifies him most, other people.
知りたいでしょ？引きこもりからの脱出方法。契約書にサインしたら教えてあげるよ、佐藤君。
Welcome to the NHK hits differently because it doesn't dress up its subject matter. Sato's spiral feels earned because the show builds it through small mundane failures, missed opportunities, awkward conversations, and excuses that sound painfully familiar. Seriously, this anime does social anxiety right, and as a bonus, you get a main character who has conspiracy theories too. The show gets that loneliness isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just quietly built up until you can't remember how it started. 0 skippable episodes. Genuinely no filler.
誰が出ていくと言いました？
だって今さっき。
ここの人たちは冗談が好きなんですよ。
伺ってます。
Time to go back in time and see some works from the author of Ranma 1/2 and Urusei Yatsura. Mason Ikoku is set in a chaotic boarding house in Clock Hill, where college student Yusaku Godai has finally had enough of his unhinged neighbors and their constant partying. Just as he's about to back up and leave, Koyoko Otonashi, the new house manager, comes in, and my man starts simping hard. Suddenly, that terrible apartment doesn't seem so bad. Problem is, Koyoko is a widow still grieving her late husband.
だからもしが
腰がどうかしましたか？
模擬試験があるんじゃないんですか？
This show does something most romance anime fumble completely. It makes you genuinely invested in two flawed people slowly figuring each other out. Godai is broke, directionless, and kind of a mess. Yet you're rooting for him every step because you watch him actually try to become better. Koyoko isn't just pining and blushing either. She's wrestling with grief and loyalty in ways that hit surprisingly hard. This is why I love the works of Rumiko Takahashi. She knows how to bring the most bizarre people together and ship them.
よっしゃ死ぬ覚悟できた猫の演技もできるとはな
恥ずかしさで演技どころじゃないです。
Eiji Kaitahama has a very relatable dream: be popular and have a harem. Enter Rin Nanakura, his junior in the drama club who decides to make that happen using her acting skills. She cycles through personalities, from teasing to calm, simulating Eiji's dream harem. But as they spend more time together, something shifts, and the real Rin starts falling for him while hiding behind her characters.
先輩に教えてもらいたくてわざと授業聞かなかったんだよね。
よし俺明日から塾行く頑張るわ
So Giji Harem is basically get you someone who can do both, cranked up to 11. The personality switching gimmick works because it's actually how Rin sneaks her feelings past her own nervousness, using acting as a shield until she doesn't need it anymore. And unlike most romance anime that string you along forever, this one actually goes somewhere. Dates, confessions, a real relationship, all within one season. If you're one of those people who hate harem anime, then give this one a go. It'll give you that weird satisfaction.
あれ今日なんか言いたげだったのってもしかして。Miyu
Suzuki is your typical cheerful high school girl who cares way too much about fitting in. Sitting right next to her is Yusuke Tani, a guy who couldn't care less about social expectations. Their personalities are basically opposites, but somehow that's exactly what pulls them toward each other. When their feelings grow harder to ignore, Suzuki eventually says what's on her mind, forcing both of them to actually admit they love each other.
ごめん待たせた
This came last season, and it's genuinely fun to watch. Suzuki blurts out things before thinking, Tani quietly spirals internally for 5 minutes after every interaction, and somehow that dynamic never gets old. You're gonna think it will get old, but just like Kaguya-sama, both the main characters carry the show on their backs. What makes it work beyond the main couple, though, is that the friend group all have their own romantic subplots, each with completely different energy. Some are chaotic, some are hesitant, none feel copy-pasted. So, 10 out of 10.
塚本天馬ちゃん
おい君なんだその
同じ
格好
クラスになりて
Time for another old as gold anime. Tenma Tsukamoto is a second-year high schooler desperate to confess to her crush, while delinquent Kenji Harima is stuck in the exact same boat with his own feelings going nowhere. School Rumble throws these two into a chaotic mess of misunderstandings, rivalries, and friendships as they fumble through high school romance like absolute disasters.
なるほど、ありがとうございました。
いや
So picture this: a scary delinquent with a massive reputation goes completely soft the moment his crush walks by, and she's oblivious to literally everything. That contrast alone carries so much comedy. It's like those Saitokai Yakui Domo episodes, but instead of lewd stuff, you get a girl being oblivious. Every episode feels unpredictable, like the show just decided to do whatever it wanted, and somehow it works every single time. Harima is genuinely hilarious because he's built like a final boss but crumbles like a cookie around one clueless girl. The large cast can get overwhelming to track, sure, but each character brings something distinct enough that you stop caring pretty fast. Now, speaking of large casts, here is the relationship diagram of this anime. Good luck figuring that out.
何恥ずかしがってんのよ、童貞くん。こんなことしても全然平気。
胸このふわとろプリンなぬくもりは
頑張って完璧にあなたの妻になるからよろしくね。
third-year student Jiro is head over heels for his childhood friend Shiori. So, naturally, fate pairs them with the loud, energetic Akari instead, who's crushing on the popular Minami, who ends up with Shiori. The school runs a marriage practical where random boy-girl pairs live as pretend couples and earn points based on closeness. The top 10 pairs get to swap partners, but only if both couples agree. So Jiro and Akari reluctantly team up, pretending to be the perfect couple while secretly pining for someone else.
しょうがないだろ。お前みたいに経験豊富じゃないし。
はあ？そんなの関係ない。やるときはガツンとやれっての。あんた一生童貞組んでいるつもり？
This show does the enemies to lovers pipeline better than most, and watching Jiro and Akari go from I hate this situation to genuinely enjoying each other's company is where it shines. The premise sounds ridiculous. Marriage class? Really? But it actually works. Every episode throws something funny or exciting at you, so it never drags. Yeah, the side characters are basically furniture, but Jiro, Akari, and Shiori carry the show just fine. I mean, those three are all you need.
ちょっと待ちなさいってば。いきなり何なの？
近くにあるらしいんだ。この時期にしか咲かない洞窟の白いユリ。見たいと思わない？
Alright, everybody, stand back, let Netflix cook. A Japanese exchange student in early 1900s London with a 6-month deadline to become top of her class or pack her bags home. No pressure, right? That's exactly the situation Lily Ichojin finds herself in after enrolling at St. Thomas Art Academy. She crosses paths with Kit Church, a gifted aristocratic painter who's basically numb to warmth. Their shared obsession with art slowly pulls them together. And you know, the usual romantic tension stuff happens.
こんな人に絶対負けるもんか。
This show gets romance right without it being loud about it. Kit doesn't just change. You watch Lily's sincerity chip away at his emotional walls, critique by critique, late studio night by late studio night. The cave scene near the finale where Lily's literally float into the air while Kit instinctively reaches for his paintbrush instead of words, that's the show in a nutshell. Romantic without trying too hard. The artistic process feels genuinely messy and vulnerable, and all of it is wrapped up in a nice slow burn romance.
これ。
またゴミを。
それあげる。
Koyotaro Ichikawa looks like your typical quiet, brooding middle schooler, but in his head, he's plotting murder. Specifically, he wants to see his classmate Anna Yamada suffer. Pretty edgy, right? But fate keeps throwing them together in the school library, where Ichikawa discovers that this seemingly perfect model-like classmate is actually a complete airhead who couldn't raid a room if her life depended on it. Sure, this show starts out pretty edgy, but if you stay past the first 10 minutes, you'll see how much wholesome it gets. And Ichikawa is the walking embodiment of every edgy teenager you ever met. But here's the thing, that edginess actually makes him weirdly perceptive and empathetic. You watch him slowly crawl out of his Chunibiyu shell episode by episode, talking to more people, becoming braver, and it never feels forced. Yamada, meanwhile, is an adorable disaster disguised as a perfect girl. 2 seasons and a recap movies is out, and I'm here waiting for season 3.